Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome along to Circuit Zolder for what is the final round of the 2020 EuroNASCAR Esports Series. This fantastic circuit first held Formula One back in 1973. The first visit of EuroNASCAR was here in 2015, but it has been the venue that has held the finals of the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series over the course of the last 5 years. And tonight it holds the final of the inaugural Esports Series. The championship is still up for grabs. Mathematically, 6 drivers could still win the championship if things go their way for some, and they would rely on misfortune for others, but we'll wait and see as to what unfolds over the course of this evening. It's Mark Werrell again that's chatting to you now, joining me in the commentary box again for this final, and we're really excited about what's going to unfold over the course of the next hour or so, is Andre Weigold. Andre, we've visited our range of circuits throughout Europe and America, and tonight we're going to crown a EuroNASCAR Esports champion. Nothing from Andre that I can hear. Nothing from Andre I can hear.
Okay, I'm sorry. Here I am. Yes, I'm here now.
So I was saying we're going to crown a EuroNASCAR Esports champion this evening, Andre.
Yes, we have a lot of high potential drivers at front. I think Andre Castro will be the favorite in this race. And yeah, Lois Hasemans and Tobias Downhauser, they are in charge. They try to overtake Andre Castro in this race. And yeah, it's been a great season with different tracks. And now we're at home, I say, at the final track with Circuit Zolder, the track that hosted so many real-world NASCAR Whelen Euro Series finals. And we saw some great racing in the real world here. So I think this is one of the best venues you can be when you have a final race all over Europe. So I'm very, very excited for this final race here at Circuit Zolder today.
Usual format is that the entry list will be split into heats, and then from those heats we will go through into a last chance qualifying race to fill 36 cars up on the grid for the final. The championship points, as you can see on your screen now, Andre Castro leads the championship by 12 points going into this one from Loris Hasemans, who is in second position, and his Hendricks Motorsport teammate Tobias Downhauser sits there in third place. Alan Day, Brian Crowells and Ulysse Delso could all mathematically win the championship because there are 80 points up for grabs, and Ulysse Delso in sixth position is 70 points adrift of Andre Castro. So for Ulysse Delso to win the championship, he would have to win the race, but he would be reliant on Andre Castro finishing down in 36th position, the last point scoring place. So mathematically it's possible. Realistically, wow, everything would really have to fall into place and the stars would have to align. So we are really looking forward to getting things underway. We will at some point over the course of this evening hear from Jerome Galpin, who's the CEO of EuroNASCAR, as we head towards real racing. You know, it's quite interesting, Andre. We're coming to the conclusion of our esports series in conjunction with iRacing, with support from i-cin.com and Sim Racing League. But in 8 weeks' time, we're going to do it for real as we head towards Vallelunga in the middle of September.
Yes, finally, we are ready for the real-world season open at Vallelunga, a track we don't know. I haven't seen a EuroNASCAR car on that track before. So everything's new for the drivers, everything's new for the team, and also for the series and for the track. So it's going to be a very exciting and thrilling season opener with everybody in a position to be able to win, because nobody knows the tracks. I think some Italian teams already tested there, so maybe they have a slight advantage, but I think it's going to be a very even grid at the beginning of this season. So I'm very happy that we'll be back for real racing soon. But first of all, we have to crown a virtual EuroNASCAR Esports Series champion tonight.
Yeah, I mean, you look at what's happened so far. Qualifying's going on at the moment. You can see that already Giorgio Maggi has made a bit of a mistake there. Tobias Downhauser has set the early pace early on. But you look at what's happened over the course of the season, and there's no doubting that Andre Castro has been the driver to beat. You look at the statistics. Yes, he's the championship leader, but if you include the prologue event that we had at Daytona, if you look at all of the heats that we've had, as well as the last chance races and the main races, any of those races that we've had, he's had 7 victories so far this season. The driver that's had second closest amount of victories to that is Jeffrey Ruffin, who I don't think is in the entry list here this evening. He's had 5 wins. Mikael Smidl, who's not in the entry list this evening, has had 4 wins. Lasse Sorensen, who is not in the entry list this evening, has had 3 wins, the same amount as Guillaume de Flandre and Alan Day and Tobias Dauenhauer. So Andre Castro has rather dominated the top step of the podium in all of the races, hasn't he?
Yes, he's phenomenal in sim racing, and he also proved to be a very good race car driver in the real world. When we had him in the 2019 season of the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, he did a great job. Even he lacked a win. He was so close winning at Valencia, Mark. You remember this very tragic, dramatic last turn with Miles Snyder bumping into his car and Giorgio Maggi. He got the win and Andre Castro was almost there, and then he had several opportunities, but he didn't get it to the finish line under first place. So in the end, he's very good in the real world. He's a phenomenal driver in sim racing with a lot of experience. So if I have to, I would put my money on Andre Castro tonight.
I agree with you. I think, Andre has largely stayed out of trouble. We had the big one at Watkins Glen where so many cars were tangled up, and even with the damage, Andre Castro got on with it and came home to finish in 14th position, which netted him 23 championship points. And it just goes to show how vital that was for him, because he comes into this one 12 points in the lead. Had he have given up at Watkins Glen, and it would be Loris Hazemans that would be leading the championship coming into this one. So even on a bad night, he made the very, very best of it. And you look at the results, it was a win last time out at Charlotte on the Roval. He was second at Brands Hatch the round prior to that. The round prior to that was Indianapolis, where he was also in second place. He finished third at the opening round at Brands Hatch. His worst top 10 so far was a 6th at Zandvoort, and his only one outside of the top 10 was that 14th at Watkins Glen. So he's had the consistency. Consistency is what wins championships, and that's why we see Loris Hazemans right up there as well, because he's not had a win, Andre, but he's not had a finish outside of the top 6 all season.
Yes, consistency is key. That's what I was telling you all season long. Loris Hazemans is a phenomenal driver. He's super fast. He has a very solid pace. Yes, he's not having a win in the pockets right now, but in the end it doesn't matter, because when he's winning the championship tonight, becoming champion without any win. Think about it. Andre Castro crashes out and he got in second place, and Loris Hazemans will be the champion with it or this or something like that. Nobody will care that he had not won any race in the season, because he was so consistent.
Yeah, you don't so much remember the winners, but you always remember the champions. So clock's ticking away. There's only just under 2 minutes of qualifying still remaining. And unlike the real world, when the checkered flag goes out, even if you're part the way around a lap, then that's the end of it in reality. You won't get to complete that lap the way iRacing works as such. Tobias Dauenhauer topping the times at this stage with a 1 minute 31.828, but is sitting comfortably in the pit lane, happy that his work is done. Simon Palat is second quickest, just 93 thousandths of a second separating the pair of them. Andre Castro is third, but is still circulating. The leading pair are currently in the pit lane, as is the 4th place car, Alan Day as well, a double former champion. The one we're looking at the moment is Alain Muscaron, who is only currently 19th and is looking to make a little bit of progress. And we also just mentioned that Bert Longines, car number 411. We've not seen a lot of Bert in the Esports Series. Nice to see him back for the final round, Andre.
Yes. I think Bert Longines is a little bit of the father of the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series when it's being a driver, a team manager, and of course a father of Stennis Longines, who's one of the top guys in EuroNASCAR. So Bert Longines always with a smile in the garage, always with a cool sentence. He's there and telling jokes, always happy, always exciting. But when it comes to racing, he's very focused and very eager. He wants to win. And he wants his son to win all the races, and he's very professional, so very nice guy, and it's so cool to work with him.
And he knows his way around this circuit as well. He's a multiple Bell car champion. He's won the Zolder 24 hours in the past as well, so he knows this circuit really, really well. Be interesting to see how he goes, won't it?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see Bert here at Circuit Zolder, his home track. Very, very thrilling moment when we see him passing the start-finish line when the green flag falls.
Well, I think we will at some point have a look back at some of the highlights. We're not quite going to squeeze them in now before the start of the race because we've been busy waxing lyrical about what we're going to see in front of us and some of the things that have been going on in this championship. But we will, over the course of this evening, look back at some of the highlights of the Zolder races in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series back in 2019, 2020. But checkered flag is now out, which means that the cars will be lining up ready for the first of the heats. And the way it's going to work, by the look of things, is that we're going to have 2 heats this evening with a last chance qualification race. I think that's the way it's going to work with the numbers we've got, Andre. You're more familiar with the iRacing format than I.
Yes, I think you're absolutely right. And right now the system's showing me that the Heat 3 will be skipped. So I think we will have Heat 1, Heat 2, and a consolation race. I cannot 100% confirm it, but I think it's very, very... it's the solution iRacing will choose. I think so.
Right. Okay. Yeah. How and where you know that information? You're looking at different things to me. So yeah, thank you for just sort of clarifying my thinking. So Tobias Dallenhauer will start on pole position for this first heat. Now it's just a 10-minute heat. The top 10 will automatically go through to, oh no, the top 15 will automatically go through. I'm guessing we're just having 2 heats to qualify for the main race. Or will it still be the top 10, Andre? You, again, might be able to give me a steer on that. Is it top 10 from this one or top 15?
So in the end, the program is showing me top 10.
Top 10, right. So the top 10 will go through and everybody else will then fight it out in the last chance qualification race. So yeah, Tobias Dallenhauer on pole position for this race. The white car with its yellow flashes to the right of your screen is Andre Castro that lines up alongside. Row 2 of the grid is Bavo Follon and Alessandro Brigatti. Brigatti has had a win, but his win came, if memory serves me correctly, in one of the heats. I was going to think it was a last chance qualification race, but no, it was in one of the heats. Third on the grid is Antonio Ortiz, who is one of the engineers that works at the Circuit Ricardo Tormo in Valencia. So he's representing one of our circuit partners here this evening. Be interesting to see how he goes. And alongside him is the runner-up in EuroNASCAR 2 from last year, Giorgio Maggi, at the wheel of the number 18 car. Chris Lehman and Max Lancer line up on the next row of the grid. Bert Longines and Fred Gabion, who have both been around EuroNASCAR for a very good number of years, line up on the next row of the grid. And then, just to give you the 6th row of the grid, it's Jakob Krafek, who is representing Autodrome Most here this evening. So again, another one of our vital circuit partners that we work so closely with. Lines up alongside Roy Hendricks. And I will give you the next row of the grid because it's number 48, Santu Vauxhall-Turian, that lines up alongside the other circuit partner that we've got. And that is the Hockenheimring American Fan Fest Chevy of Stefan Krause, who is, again, an esports racer, Andre, but only qualified, 14th for this race. So a little bit off the pace to where we thought he might have been. Look at where Loris Hasemans is, though. He's only 16th on this grid.
Yeah, I think he has not set a decent lap. Maybe he had some technical problems. I cannot confirm anything yet because I have no message from Loris what happens. And yeah, Stefan Krasin, he's focusing on over racing when he's doing his casual over racing stuff during the week. So turning left and right is something he's not very familiar with. He did the 24 hours of Spa, I know that. So yeah, but he's a oval racing specialist. But let him get into this race and adopt a little bit, and I think he's one of those guys fighting for a top 10 spot here later.
So remember, Tobias Dallenhauer on pole position lies 3rd in the championship standings. There are no points for the heats, though, so all he needs to do is make sure that he finishes well in this heat to give him a good grid position for the final race of the season, and that is what carries the championship points. And remember, because it is the finals, it's double championship points, as it was at Charlotte on the Roval a couple of weeks ago when we were there. So we see the safety car just bringing the cars out of Jochen Rindt and up towards the Jackie X chicane. And then from there, they will be off around this as good as 4 kilometre or 2.5 mile circuit, ready for 10 laps of our first race of the evening in the EuroNASCAR Esports Series in conjunction with iRacing, with support from i-cin.com and SimRacingLeague.it. So out of the Jackie X chicane, and then from there the lights will go out and we'll get things underway. Good start from Tobias Dallenhauer, who gets the jump on Andre Castro as they head down towards turn number 1 Erst. Very difficult to get the car braked and turned in towards the first of the left-handers, and from there it's up towards Sterabak Bucht, which is turn number 2. Tobias Downhauer leading the race. Andre Castro in second place. We're looking at the car of Bavo Fallon, who is fighting away with Alessandro Brigatti. We'll go on board with Brigatti. To his right is Bavo Fallon. The two of them must be side by side through that corner. Yeah, just still hanging on to each other. So that's through the Canal Bocht, the Canal Bend, and then down through up towards the Cleaner Chicane, which is where they'll be coming now. And look at the squabble that's going on side by side further back, and everybody comes out pointing in the right direction. I think Giorgio Maggi got a bit of a tap there, though, and the number 18 car has now lost places because Max Lancer went through, Chris Lehman went through, and Fred Gabion at the wheel of the white and black Toyota also managed to squeeze his way through. But largely, Andre, so far, it's all gone to plan for everybody. Everybody's still circulating, a bit of bumping and barging, but everybody's still there.
Yes, a very clean start, but I saw a very crazy drift by Loris Hesemans in the beginning, in the back, and I think he lost 1 or 2 spots there, but he's charging his way up again. I think he was 18th for 1 or 2 seconds, and then he was back in 16th. So Hesemans had a tough start. I'm very sure that he had an incredible drift back there and lost some space, some time.
And he's more time there because Antonio Ortiz span right in front of him into the wall, and it looked as though Loris Hesemans had to sort of avoid making contact with that car as it was sort of spinning like a top around the circuit after the contact. So that's cost Hesemans a little bit more time, and he desperately needs to try and make some up if he can. So we're looking now at Andre Castro, still in second position at this stage. Remember, Hesemans, who's had a poor qualifying and then had a few issues already in this race, is way down in 15th position at the moment, which is going to see him, if he stays there, towards the tail end of the main race grid. He's going to have to fight it through in the last chance qualification race as well if he doesn't haul himself up inside the top 10. Tobias Downhauer continuing to lead the race. Let's just have a quick look. So we're looking at Gaspar Donovsek, the Marco Steep Motorsport car. He gets really sideways. That is heading towards, I think, turn number 4, I think. So Lucian Bianchi-Bocht, I think, was where that spin was on the way into. Fred Gabion, 3 times a runner-up in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, is pushing on hard. Look at his mirrors. He's got Giorgio Maggi sitting there, Toyota ahead of Ford. It's Ford that leads the race. Then 4 Chevys from 2nd through to 5th, and the Toyota of Fred Gabion sitting there in 6th place. Giorgio Maggi is 7th. Bert Longines is up to 8th now. Jakob Krafik is 9th, and Santo Vauxhall completes the top 10 the way things currently stand. But the 10 minutes is ticking down. 7 minutes to go. This is the best of the battles at the moment, isn't it, Andre? For 6th and for 7th place. Fred Gabion using all of that experience he's got in EuroNASCAR.
Yes, a very nice battle, but you saw that Giorgio Maggi is a very fast driver, especially at Circuit Zolder last year when he lost the championship against Lasse Sørensen, but Giorgio Maggi did a very great job here in Belgium. So this is one of those tracks Giorgio Maggi is very good at, but of course, you said it, Frédéric Gabion has a lot of experience in EuroNASCAR per se. He's one of those veterans with a lot of pace, a great speed, and I think this is going to be a great battle for the rest. 6 minutes, I think, we have on the clock. And yeah, right now it's all about staying in the top 10, get your fixed spot for the main race, and because in this race you will get championship points, and in the end it's all about real team championship points for the 2020 season that will kick off in September at Vallelunga, and then in October 3rd and 4th we will be back here in the real world at Circuit Zolder. So yeah, it's a little bit of a preview what we will see in the real world in October when we visit this track with the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, and I'm looking really forward to it.
I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, 3rd and 4th of October is the dates that is set in the calendar for the return of real NASCAR racing rather than the virtual NASCAR racing that we have this evening at Circuit Zolder. So Andre Castro is still pressing on. He's still behind Tobias Downhauer. The two of them go over the start-finish line, and the gap between the pair of them actually comes out a little bit that time through, so it's just been stretched by about another 3/4 of a second. Still not a great deal, though. Alessandro Brigatti is still going very well in 3rd position, not under any pressure at all from Bavo Fallon, who is sitting there in 4th. So it's sort of the top 3 that seem to have made a breakaway. Here is car number 411, which is Bert Longines, driving for Circuit Zolder this evening, but he's under enormous pressure from another one of the Circuit partner cars that sits behind. That is the OMV Max Motion NASCAR Most machine that sits behind of Stefan Krause and is really putting him under pressure. Not Stefan Krause, I ought to say, Jakob Krafek, I ought to say. So that is what is putting Bert Longines under pressure, and that's for 8th and 9th position. As for 10th, well, Loris Hazemans is starting to get the job done now. He was down in 15th a few laps ago, Andre. He has been working his way quietly up through the order, has now got himself into 10th position, and how vital, Andre Veigold in commentary, could that be? Because at the moment, he's now automatically qualified for the main race.
Yes, incredible what Loris Hazemans is doing, but he has to finish the job. He has to get his spot in the main race, and of course he wants a spot in the front, not being in the last starting positions, because he has to go to the consolidation race. So yeah, Hazemans has to do this job. He has to get into the top 10, and maybe a top 8, top 6 finish is still on the line. It's 3.5 minutes left, so Hazemans with his speed, he has to do a little bit of work to get there, but I think he's very, very fast. And when he did not have these problems in the qualifying, I think he would have been in the top 5 easily.
And now he's looking to try and steal 9th place away. Yeah, Chevy, then Ford, and then Toyota, because losing a place is Jakob Krafek at the wheel of the Autodrome Most car, and that now puts Loris Hazemans up into 9th position. The next car he's going to want to try and unpick from its position is car number 411, which is Bert Longines, and it looks already as though he's got a bit of a run on Bert Longines. Longines is going to close the door, though, as he's quite entitled to do as they go through Lucian Bianchi box there. And then from there, it's down the straight and up towards the cleaner chicane once more. And again, you can see that Hendricks Ford sniffing around. He's got the inside line, but Longines gives it up. He's not involved in the championship fight, leaps over the curbs. But more importantly, another place gain for Loris Hazemans. He's now up into 8th position, which of course moves him up another row on the grid now in the main race, if he continues to stay where he is, of course. Bert Longines struggling now. Jakob Krafek goes through. Also looks as though the 23 of Henry Tuomala goes through. So Bert Longines all of a sudden now is out of the automatic qualification places. How quickly things change, Andre. Hazemans wasn't in automatic qualification now, whereas Bert Longines was looking safe to automatically qualify. He's now out, down in 11th.
Yeah, it's very close. We see a very tight competition here in the EuroNASCAR Esports Series. Of course, we have a fixed setup, so everybody has got the same car settings, so it's all about the driver not doing any mistakes, finding the right rhythm and find the right racing line and try to push as much as possible. When we see somebody was spinning there on my screen, I know I have different angles than you have, but I just want you to tell that there was a spin. I tried to check who was it, but I will give you that information as soon as I can confirm it.
Okay, Chris Lehman will be dining out on this race forever. He's got a 3 times NASCAR Whelen Euro Series runner-up behind him, and I mean EuroNASCAR Pro as well, the top division. He's got a runner-up in EuroNASCAR 2 behind him. He's got a champion in EuroNASCAR Pro behind him in Loris Hazemans, because Chris Lehman is in 5th position at the moment for DF1 Marco Steep Motorsport Racing, and is going beautifully well. The man who is part of the media team for Marco Steep Motorsport, running car number 348. If it starts with a 3, then he's a EuroNASCAR team member. If the cars start with a 2, and therefore they sit in the 200s, they're EuroNASCAR Club Challenge drivers. If it's in the 100s, it's EuroNASCAR 2 driver. And if it's 0 to 99 numbered, then those are drivers that are in the EuroNASCAR Pro division. That's how the numbers work in each of the cars. So he is going so well, and I haven't as yet really seen him put a wheel wrong. It's a circuit that he knows well, Andre, and he'll be absolutely loving the fact that he's having his best run of the EuroNASCAR Esports season.
Yes, but there's 30 seconds left to go, so let's wait until the checkered flag falls. You know what happens when we tell that a driver is doing very good, and then the next second, I don't want to say anything more. But just the information, Max Lanza was the guy spinning, and he's in 14th, I think, right now.
Right.
And yeah, Chris Lehman, he is doing a great job. He started iRacing, I think, a few weeks ago. He was not into iRacing before. He did other simulations as well, but iRacing was something completely new for him. And now he's adopting, he's getting faster every race. And at the end of the EuroNASCAR Esports Series season, he may get one of those big wins for him personally. Maybe a top 10 in the main race. That's what he's aiming for, I think. So yeah, Chris Lehman is doing a good job. Great development over the races. And maybe, we don't know yet, but if there's gonna be another one of the EuroNASCAR Esports Series with those guys from the teams, maybe he's one of those guys in the front in the future when there's another series.
We saw the spin for Max Lancer. Yeah, just got on the power too early coming out of the Jackie X chicane by the look of things. And that is where now, up towards the Jackie X chicane, our lead pair are going. Tobias Dauenhauer has done enough to keep at bay Andre Castro, who will be hugely conscious that there's a championship to fight for in the main race. There's no extra points for trying to grab a position and firing the car off the road in a heat. So Tobias Dauenhauer claims the win. He will be delighted with that, Tobias Dauenhauer. That is his fourth heat win of the esports season. Andre Castro finishes in second place. Alessandro Brigatti comes through and is third, with Bovo Follon in fourth position. Can Chris Lehman hang on to fifth place? He's about to head over the start-finish line. Yeah, fifth place for Chris Lehman. He will be hugely pleased with that. Fred Gabion in sixth, Giorgio Maggi seventh, and it was eighth in the end for Loris Haseman, so he has just about managed to automatically qualify, but that looked as though it was hard work in qualifying for Loris, the reigning EuroNASCAR Pro champion, and hard work also in that race, fighting his way up from 15th position up to 8th in the end. But Tobias Dauenhauer, his teammate at Hendricks Motorsport, in the identically liveried car, they will be sharing a real car over the course of the 2020 EuroNASCAR or NASCAR Whelen Euro Series when we get it running. Tobias Dauenhauer will drive it in EuroNASCAR 2. The very same car will be driven by Loris Haseman's in EuroNASCAR Pro, but of course they get their own individual virtual car when it comes to this. Stefan Krassin is going to head over the start-finish line in 15th position, representing American Fan Fest. Igor Romanov is going to, for Not Only Motorsport, bring his Chevy home in 16th position. But I think three cars that we didn't see complete the race will be car number 413, Antonio Ortiz. We didn't see complete the race, Gasper Donovsek for Marco Steep Motorsport. His 146 had problems, and also Fabio Spatafora also had some issues. So hopefully we can get confirmation of the results. Tobias Dauenhauer claims the win by just under 3/4 of a second from Andre Castro. Alessandro Brigatti was in third place out of Bovo Follon, Chris Lehman and Fred Gabion, who complete the top 6. The top 10 was completed by Giorgio Maggi in 7th, Loris Haseman's in 8th, Jakob Krafik in 9th, and Henry Tuamala was there in 10th place. Roy Hendricks, Bert Longines, Max Lancer, Santu Vuxatorium, Stefan Krassin and Igor Romanov were all the way down to 16th place. And the final two cars, which you say had issues, or the final three cars that had issues, was Antonio Preveda or Antonio Ortiz in reality, Gasper Donovsek and Fabio Spatafora. So that gives you our drivers. Before we get Heat 2 underway, let's grab a quick word with the driver that's just claimed top honours in Heat number 1. Tobias Dauenhauer joins us in commentary. Tobias, congratulations. That's your third Heat win, and it puts you on course for hopefully a good evening in this championship deciding round for the EuroNASCAR Esports Series.
Yeah, thank you. It was a very good heat for me. I had a lot of pressure from Andre Castro, so I'm very happy that I can put the ZL car in the front position for the main race, and I hope I can also win the main race then.
You look at what you need to do. You're lying down 12 points. Sorry, you're lying 25 points adrift of Andre Castro. So there's work to be done in the race, and you maybe need to hope that Andre perhaps has a bit of a problem in the main race.
Yeah, I think so. If Andre makes a good job in the race and he has no crash, it will be difficult that I can be first in the championship. So I only have to try to drive a clean race and stay in the front position.
But you're only 13 points behind your Hendricks Motorsport teammate Loris Haseman's, and he's going to line up something like 16th on the grid for the main race because he finished 8th in the heat. So there's a possibility of the championship, certainly a strong possibility of a runner-up spot.
Yeah, of course. But we try to reach the best position for our team Hendricks Motorsport. So I hope Loris will also gain a lot of positions in the main race and we both can finish a good result.
Well, thanks for chatting to us, Tobias. So all the very best for the main race, and hopefully we'll get a chance to chat to you later on. So there we go, Tobias Dauenhauer, our Heat 1 winner. We see Heat 2 forming up now, same format, 10-minute race, the top 10 of which will go through automatically to the main race. Everybody else will drop into the last chance qualification race. Simon Palat is on pole position. He's got a double EuroNASCAR Pro champion alongside him, the Black Monster Energy Chevy of Alan Day. Row 2 of the grid, it's a former EuroNASCAR 2 champion, Ulysse Delceau, alongside Brian Krause at the wheel of car number 378, one of the NASCAR team members. And then row 3 of the grid is Davide Dallara and car number 101, which is Vladimiras Djoitzis, who sits there. Gordon Barnes and Stefano Gustavaglie sit there on row number 4. And row number 5 is Nave Talor and Alain Muscaron. Again, in this one, we've got a Longines. Stinus Longines starts down in 11th position. Andre, for real, he claimed his first NASCAR Pro win here at the back end of October. So he's a little bit out of position, I would have thought.
Yes, finally he got his EuroNASCAR Pro win. Stinus Longines was the guy in the 2019 season who took second place. He was leading the championship, and finally, at his home track, he was winning
the
race.
win.
Yeah.
Lights out, here we go. Simon Palat heads up towards turn number 1 and leads the race. Alan Day slotting into second place. Ulysse Delceau and Brian Krause in third and fourth place, which as per grid order at this stage. Nave Talor is ahead of Vladimiras Djoitzis at the wheel of car number 101, who is coming under pressure here from Chris Ricard. And I think there was a little bit of contact between the pair of them just as we cut away from that shot. Did they both get away with it? We can't quite tell. But it is Simon Palat, and then in the background there's problems. Stefano Gustavaglie gets caught up. Oh, there's several cars. Nave Talor's caught up. Vladimiras Djoitzis is caught up. Chris Ricard's. We've also got Stinus Longines involved. All of them getting the cars now pointing back round in the right direction. Didn't see what caused it, but for Stinus Longines, lots and lots of smoke coming from the back end of his car, which suggests that he'll be heading into retirement. We've not seen a lot of him in the Esports Series. We've not seen a lot of him in this race. Let's just have a quick look at the replay. Stefano Gustavaglie, I think, got sideways, which was the start of the problem. Yeah, he gets sideways coming out of the corner, makes contact with the wall, collects Nave Talor, and then there's a chain reaction from there of several cars all getting involved. And whilst they all continue and recover, Stinus Longines' car on my screen had smoke pouring from the tail end of it, and that is why he has dropped to the tail end of the field. No such worries, though, for Simon Palat. He still continues to lead the race. He's got, though, Alan Day right behind him at this stage. Simon Palat, if memory serves me correctly, Andre, hasn't had a heat win as yet in the Esports Series.
No, I don't think so. I think this could be one of those first-time winners here today, but he has a very, very fast guy behind him. It's Alan Day. He's living in sim racing. He's doing a lot of laps there on iRacing. He's very, very quick. So for Simon Palat, it will be not very easy to claim a win here at Circuit Zolder, because Alan Day is just a beast, and perfectly he's driving the Monster Energy PK car sport car here. So yeah, but I think Simon Palat has a solid pace. So let's see how this race develops. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys at front. They were not involved in this crash, and they can get away from the rest of the field. So yeah, I think we will have this five guys battling for the race win in the end. And Alan Day, he's the favorite guy, I think, because of his experience in sim racing. But I don't want to say Simon Palat is not capable of winning. I think he is.
Let's have a quick look. We had another incident. Stefano Gustavaglie catching the front of Guillaume de Flandre's car and fires himself into the wall for the second time. There was already damage to the front of Guillaume de Flandre's car. That was because he had caught the tail end of Max Palumbo's machine, which knocked his Solaris Motorsport car into the gravel at turn number 1. So that's why the two Solaris Motorsports cars of Palumbo and Nave Talor, with him having got caught up in the multiple car accident, are now down in 14th and 15th position. So Solaris Motorsport having a terrible race, unfortunately. The damage to the front end of Guillaume de Flandre's car is hampering him now, because Gordon Barnes for Marco Steep Motorsports has been able to go through. Ricardo Alita has gone through up to 9th. Vladimir Djoitzis is through to 10th. And de Flandre, now carrying all of that damage, hampering his efforts, is now down in 11th place, which moves him out of automatic qualification. So it looks as though de Flandre, who has been a race winner, he claimed the main race victory at Brands Hatch on the Indy circuit. It looks as though he's going to have to fight it out in the last chance qualification race. And screen's now showing Aurélien Dillier, who is looking to try and muster something to get through and past the number 46 car of Yevgeny Sokolovsky, but the German is just about able to hang on to it at the moment from the Frenchman, who gets a little bit sideways coming out of the corner. There's a spun car ahead of them, which is the car of Ricardo Elita. So Ricardo Elita is now dropping down through the order. And now with all of that has happened, it means that Guillaume de Flandre, I think, now finds himself back in 10th place, which puts him back into automatic qualification, and as a result of Ricardo Elita's spin, has dropped him back out of going automatically through to the main race. So it still continually changes around. Running in 8th place at the moment, Vladimir Stuytzis, who is the Cypriot driver. Down in what is 10th place is Guillaume de Flandre. Yeah, his car really doesn't like turning corners at the moment. So difficult with the damage modelling on here. There's nothing Guillaume de Flandre can do, Andre Weigold, about it. Is there damage to the front end of the car? He hasn't got the speed or the aerodynamics. He's got some handling issues, and he might have been briefly back inside the automatic qualification for the main race, but the damage is just hampering his speed, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. In iRacing, the damage model is very accurate. So if you hit the car in a bad angle in the barriers, you will totally feel it. You will lose power. You will have problems with overheating engines, or even the wheel can be broken, so you don't have a straight line when you have the wheel in the center. So everything is possible on iRacing, and I think his car is too damaged to get on speed like Simon Pilato or Alan Day at front. So yeah, having a crash early in the race is always something you want to avoid, even in the virtual world, because yeah, damaged car is very, very slow. And on a technical track like the Circuit Zolder, it's even harder to stay on track with a car that is not working 100%.
Yeah, so technical, the Zolder circuit, but Simon Palat is the man who's mastering it beautifully at the moment. The Belgian 18-year-old who was one of the semi-finalists in the Fiedvik Racing's 2019 selection process is managing to keep behind the 24 of Alan Day, the two times EuroNASCAR Pro champion. He claimed those championships back in 2017 and 2018. Here, the 28-year-old Israeli sitting there in second position. Third place at the moment is Ulysse Delceau. He was the EuroNASCAR 2 champion back in 2018. Still a young man as well, only 22 years of age. And then fourth at the moment is Brian Crowles, who again is going beautifully well. Remember, his car starts 300, which means he's one of the NASCAR team members. He's part of the number 91 car on the Team Brax Racing, who've been regulars in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series for several years, and I do hope we see them back in 2020, but I think that's slightly up in the air at the moment. A slight mistake for Aurélien Dillier, the number 310 car that's running in 9th place, just outbraked himself as he was heading up towards the Jackie X chicane, but he's got nobody putting any pressure under him. He's in a fairly lonely 9th position, Andre. You look at the gap on the timing. He is 6 seconds behind the car ahead. He's 8 seconds ahead of the car that's behind him. So he's sort of on his own, really. Nobody to play with.
Yes, and I think that's a very hard and tough challenge, because when nobody's next to you, it's very easy to get out of concentration and to make mistakes. I know it when I race online as well. When you have somebody to battle with, you're always focused, you're always pumped up with adrenaline. And then when you're alone going there, it's like lap after lap after lap. And at some point, it's, for me, I'm getting tired. And then the concentration loses. So everything's very interesting when a guy is lonely like him. And I think it's not always an advantage to not be involved in any kind of fight or battle.
We saw a little fight going on there between Guillaume de Flandre and Max Palumbo. Ricardo Elita makes another mistake as well. We just briefly saw him back to Max Palumbo. Yeah, he's certainly applying the pressure to Guillaume de Flandre and is easily going to squeeze his way through. Now, remember, Palumbo was sort of pushed off, I think, into the gravel trap at turn number 1. He's side by side with de Flandre. He's then on the grass on the next little corner. Can he gather up the Solaris Motorsport Chevy? No. Loses the tail end of it over the crest and pops it into the barriers, which has now damaged the front end of his car as well. So it wasn't for a place for automatic qualification, because they were fighting for 12th and 13th. Palumbo is in 13th, but after the spin has now fallen away and is on his own. We've got a minute and a half of the race to go. Simon Palat still continues to lead by almost a second now. Let's just have a quick look. Palumbo on the grass heading up towards the next corner, the little kink. Yeah, just couldn't quite manage to catch it. So they'd come out of Telemann Bocht and were just coming over the little left-hand kink, the unnamed kink that brings you up towards Boulderbocht, and that was where he lost the tail end of the car. So that was sort of turn number 11 up to turn number 12, I think you would call that. Simon Palat still continuing to lead the race. I think Alan Day has decided that second is as good as it's going to get. It's not worth risking damaging the car to gain one extra place. But then Simon Palat makes a mistake all the way through the gravel trap at the Jackie X chicane and loses momentum. Now, Alan Day had dropped to 1.5 seconds behind, which is sufficient, despite the mistake, for Simon Palat to hang on to the lead of the race. But the gap that was 1.5 seconds is now half. It's down to 0.7 of a second, and they are now on the final lap of the race. In third place, Ulysse Delso almost ran wide as well at turn number 1. Quick replay, Simon Palat, loses the tail end of the car, locks the brakes, cadence brakes, decides to cut across the gravel as quickly as he dare, rejoins the circuit. But because I'd just said Alan Day, it looked as though he'd settled for second, all of a sudden the pressure was off Simon Palat, and that was when the mistake came, as Andre Weigold was referring to just moments earlier. The gap is down to 0.5 of a second. Alan Day has claimed plenty of wins here in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series for real in the past. He was a double race winner back in 2015. He won the first races of the weekend back in 2017. He won both of the races in the EuroNASCAR finals in 2018, which was his second championship year. It looks as though he might just come up short here in heat number 2 of the evening, because Simon Palat is potentially on for his first victory in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series Esports Series in conjunction with iRacing, with support from i-cin.com and SimRacingLeague.it. And we also thank TJ, who are going to produce a fabulous titanium ring for our overall champion as well. We saw their sort of video and advertisement at the beginning of this feed. Simon Palat is just turning his way through the Jackie X chicane for the final time. Nice and neat and tidy that time, but was maybe a little bit too slow coming out of it, and it's given Alan Day half a run on the way to the line, but Simon Palat has got it covered off. He comes over the start-finish line to win by 1/4 of a second from Alan Day in the end, who finished in second place. Ulysse Delso was in third place. And Brian Krause is there in 4th position. Remember, Brian Krause lies 5th in the championship standings. Mathematically, he still could be the champion, Brian Krause, as could Alan Day, who finished ahead of him in that race in 2nd place. And Ulysse Delso, of course, was also involved in that heat as well. So mathematically, from this particular heat, Alan Day, Ulysse Delso and Brian Krause, 2nd, 3rd and 4th, all within a shout of the championship, subject to what happens in the main race, which carries the championship points. We've already had Davide Dallara, Alan Muscaron and Vladimir Tioitsis come through. Gordon Barnes comes over the start-finish line at the wheel of his Marco Steep Motorsport car. He will finish in 8th place, and I think Scott Jeffs will complete the 9th with 10th place. Should be over the line, provided he makes it Yevgeny Sokolovsky. But for Simon Palat, that is his first win in the EuroNASCAR Esports Series. He will be very, very pleased indeed with that. He's had one top 10 in a main race where he finished 7th overall at Indianapolis, but having claimed a heat win, that will see him off the front row of the grid for the main race. So he will certainly be hoping to, if not grab a victory, at least stand on the podium and certainly improve on that 7th place, which is his best result of the esports season so far. So the cars just making their way around. We will await the arrival, hopefully, of Simon Palat to have a chat to us. But before that, we should be able to get some confirmation of the results for heat number 2, exciting heat, which involved a bit of a multi-car accident a little bit earlier on, which affected the handling of some of the cars. And we will already, by the look of things, we're getting geared up for the last chance qualification race.
Sorry, Mark.
Yes,
I have to interrupt here because we had one driver disconnecting right before the start of the race. We have exactly 36 drivers on the grid, and we are now in the feature race. So this is going to be the main race. Yes, I
did see Simon Palat at the front of that grid, and it did worry me, but I knew we were initially going to have a last chance race. Yes, I didn't realize somebody had disconnected. So confirmation of the results then. Thanks for letting me know, Andre. Simon Palat claims the win from Alan Day. In 2nd place, Ulysse Delso, Brian Krause, Davide Dallara and Alan Muscaron complete the top 6. Vladimir Tioitsis was 7th, head of Gordon Barnes in 8th place. Scott Jeffs, the British driver, in 9th place, and Yevgeny Sokolovsky completed the top 10. Outside of the top 10, Max Palumbo, Aurelien Dillier, Ricardo Alita, Guillaume de Flandre will be looking to try and make progress in this one, as will Nave Talor, who was 15th. Stefano Gustavaye was 16th. Chris Ricard was 17th. And Stinis Longin was 18th in that particular heat. But as Andre said, initially having had more drivers than we could accommodate for the 36-car grid of the feature race, but with one driver dropping out of the server midway through, that now means that we don't have to have the last chance qualification race. Everybody is through into this main championship race, and it is this race, Andre, that will decide our champion. And that champion, of course, will also carry 40 team points for whatever car number he drives into the main NASCAR Whelen Euro Series when we get things underway.
Yes, right. This is the final race of the first ever EuroNASCAR Esports Series, and I think it's all between Andre Castro, Tobias Dauenhauer, and maybe Loris Hesemans. Before this event, there were several other drivers who had mathematically the chance to get the championship crown and the TJ ring you already mentioned earlier. But I think it's down to Andre Castro, Tobias Dauenhauer, and Loris Hesemans. And Dauenhauer, he starts from the first starting line row, from the first row, and then he has Andre Castro right behind his back. But I think Andre Castro is going to play it very safe, try to get a solid top 5 result and then clinch the championship title. But we have already seen the madness that is going on here in the second heat. One slight mistake, one single mistake, and we have a big one. And yeah, even in the front row, you're not safe. So it's all about getting the concentration high and doing the best you can, and have a little bit of luck, of course, too.
Absolutely. Well, Andre Castro has had that little bit of luck all the way through the season, apart from that little blip at Watkins Glen. Remember, all of the drivers in identical cars in reality, so they're all in the NASCAR Cup Series car, whether it be the Ford or the Chevy or the Toyota. They're all running exactly the same fixed setup that is agreed at the beginning, running in the week running into it, all with full damage modelling as well. There's no resets in this one, and as ever, race control is fully manned for duty and will dish out penalties if needs be. I just hope that our champion, whoever it may be, has a clean race and the championship isn't decided by a strange accident or a back marker not getting out of the way. Let's hope that the blue flags are observed when the quicker cars are coming through. So Tobias Dauenhauer and Simon Palat on the front row of the grid. Simon Palat not in the championship hunt, but Tobias Dauenhauer very much is. Row 2 of the grid, Andre Castro and Alan Day both in the championship hunt. We get the final race underway. It's a 30-minute race. It's a 3 wide by the look of things, almost further back, but it's Tobias Dauenhauer that will lead, from Andre Castro in second place. Ulysse Delceau side by side with Alan Day, but Alan Day is through into third. Ulysse Delceau down into fourth, and Simon Palat, who was second on the grid, is down into fifth, up to fourth again as he throws one up the inside of Ulysse Delceau as they head through Sterrenbach Bucht. And then Ulysse Delceau is also picked off by Bavo Fallon by the look of things. Brian Krul's kind of 378, not that far away either. We go on board with the 6th place car, Bavo Fallon, working his way out of Lucian Bianchi-Bocht and down the straight in towards the cleaner chicane. Up towards the left and the right flicks of the cleaner chicane. You could see in the background Loris Hesemans looking to try and make progress as he jinked his number 50 Hendricks Ford out to try and gain a place. That was over Giorgio Maggi, his former teammate from last year. So up to 11th now for Loris Hesemans, who needs to do better than this based on where Andre Castro is at the moment. Remember, if Andre Castro, the car that's in second place, and there's Hesemans has had a mistake. There's a problem for Hesemans as he's gone in towards the Villeneuve chicane, and that's damage to the Hendricks Ford, and that has undone all of the hard work that he's been doing since the first championship round took place on the 28th of April. So that looks as though that is one of the championship protagonists out of this race, unless something miraculous happens for Loris Hesemans, who's way down now in 18th position. I was about to say, if Andre Castro finishes in first, second, or in third place, regardless of what happens to Loris Hesemans, he would still be the champion. At the moment, it looks as though everything is going to plan for Andre Castro, but it's a long old race, isn't it? 30 minutes ahead of us. Anything could happen.
Yes, right. We have already seen it, the drama with Loris Hesemans. He was the first guy who was taken out of the competition for the first EuroNASCAR Esports Series title. But Tobias Dauenhauer is doing a good job at front. He's having a good start. He has a good pace. So in the end, he's doing his job, and he's doing the maximum he has to do to get the championship ring. He's in first position, but he needs some help from Andre Castro, and that means Andre Castro has to make a big mistake. We will check the math later. What has to happen when Tobias Dauenhauer is in first, and what has to happen to Andre Castro to get to have the Tobias Dauenhauer the champion. I think you have something prepared for that, right?
I've got all the maths, yeah. All the maths have been done, my spreadsheet. We just saw a quick replay of the start there from the perspective of Alan Day. If Tobias Dauenhauer wins this race, he is on 328 points, which means that he would need Andre Castro to finish in 10th position, because then Andre would be on 327. So that's the way it needs to work. And at the moment, Andre Castro is comfortably sitting out in second position, back towards the tail end of the field, or the mid-pack. Stefan Crescine is busy fighting away, trying to pick off cars around him, including Jakob Krafek. So that's two of our team partner cars that are together there. The Most car ahead of the Hockenheim car, back towards the fight for the lead. We go on board onto the bumper cam of Andre Castro, the American lying there in second position. He will already know the maths. He knows exactly what he needs to do, and that is he doesn't need to overtake Tobias Dauenhauer. Given the opportunity, of course he will, but he will want to make sure that that opportunity is a clean one. And he will also be mindful, Andre, that even whilst Alan Day is behind him in third place, and even if Alan Day gets through and up to second, Andre Castro can still afford to sit in third, regardless of what happens, and he'd still be the champion. But now he's got to run on Tobias Dauenhauer. I thought he might be safe and just sit there, but now he almost got a run there coming in towards the Villeneuve chicane. Wasn't to be. At the last minute, Dauenhauer just got the move covered off, so the order remains the same. Dauenhauer from Andre Castro, Alan Day in third place, Simon Palat in fourth, but well, Andre Castro, I think he wants to win this in the best possible way, become the champion with another victory if he can.
Yes, I think so. Right now, he's in a very tough spot. He's in a sandwich between Tobias Dauenhauer and Alan Day. Not a nice and comfortable situation, but if he gets into first place and builds up a gap, he's in a more comfortable way than right now. So the one strategy is play it safe, stay calm, and stay in this position. The other one is try to get the first place, build up a gap, and then just try to relax.
We look at Brian Krause there, who is looking to put the car ahead of him under pressure, which is Ulysse Delceau at the wheel of his RDV competition number 10 machine. And for the moment, Brian Krause can't quite manage enough to muster his way up into 7th position. So this is a former, the 2018 EuroNASCAR 2 champion, ahead of one of the Brax team members for Brax Racing, Brian Krause, who again, remember, mathematically could win the championship subject to what happens in this race. Back towards the front of the field, still in the same order. Dauenhauer from Castro. There's Alan Day for PK Car Sport with the Monster Energy liveried Chevy sitting there in third position. He's not really gaining anything on Andre Castro. He's still under pressure from Simon Palat, who sits behind, but I think for the first time, maybe, Tobias Dauenhauer is just starting to break away, and Andre Castro is losing ground to him, but at the same time, he's just pulling away from Alan Day. So first and second, just starting to increase the gap. 6 minutes to go. We go on board with Simon Palat, the young Belgian teenager, just threading his way out of the Jochenrinkbocht and down in towards the Jackie X chicane to chalk up another lap into the book. Another 4 kilometres completed, and well, now 24 minutes of this race to go. Alan Day in third position would give him 290 points at the end of this, which would probably mean that would be sufficient for him to finish third overall in the championship, such as the problems that have befallen Loris Hazemans. Where is Loris Hazemans at the moment? Well, he is, down in 27th position, Loris Hazemans. So I think we can largely discount him, which is such a shame, from the championship battle. He was just 12 points off the championship leader in second position, but those problems early on have cost him quite dear. However, his teammate still continues to lead the race. Alan Day still there in third place, still with the sort of yellow and lime green and orange car of Simon Palat sitting behind for Feed Vic Racing. He will want to finish the season on a high if he can. Remember, his best overall result in a main race was 7th position, and that came at Indianapolis. Quick replay of Gasper de Novsik, I think we might be seeing as to something that's happened to him, but nothing showing on my screen as to what we might be looking at. So we'll see whether we can pick up on that a little bit later on. So back towards the battle for the lead of the race. The gap first to second is hovering around about 1.8 seconds. A further almost 0.8 of a second off that is Alan Day. Alan Muscaron is busy sticking his elbows out. The reigning EuroNASCAR Club Challenge champion. He was under pressure from Guillaume de Flandre, but then they all disappear off onto the gravel and slither their way beyond the circuit limits, which I think allowed Henry Tuamala to steal positions there. Yeah, so Henry Tuamala gains a couple of places without any effort at all there, because he stuck to the tarmac and the cars around him were all often in the gravel trap. That included Guillaume de Flandre, it included Alain Muscaron as well. So that's dropped them down to 13th and 14th places respectively. Holding up top honours in car number 479 for the Hockenheimring, the American FanFest car in the hands of Stefan Krisin, the esports racer. One of a few drives that we've seen behind the wheel of that car. He is looking to try and hunt down Max Lancer, who is at the wheel of the 188 Cal Racing Chevy, and swaps from one side to the other. Stefan Krisin, has he got the inside line for turn number one? Not quite, so round through Erst they go. He couldn't quite open the door there, and then ahead of them, that's a puff of smoke, and that all of a sudden is slowing. Santu Vauxhaturia is slowing, so problems for the 48 car there. Puff of smoke, and that is going to see him drop all the way down through the order there, Santu Vauxhaturia. Not sure what the problem was. It all seems to have settled down at the front here. You know, Tobias Dauenhauer, understandably, Andre will be pushing as hard as he can, but Andre Castro is just thinking logically here about this race. He's a very level-headed young man, isn't he, Andre Castro? And he knows that as long as he can gap as long as he can gap Alan Day in third place, he doesn't need to push Tobias Dauenhauer. He could just settle into second, and that would be enough to claim the championship.
Yeah, I think so. He had this moment when he was side by side with Tobias Dauenhauer, and he tried to overtake him for the lead, but then everything settled a little bit at front. I think Alan Day also lost a little bit the connection to the top two drivers up front, and I think right now Andre Castro is trying to find the right spot, a little bit of a gap on Alan Day, a little bit of security gap on Tobias Dauenhauer. Nothing can happen. He has a lot of time to react if something like Tobias Dauenhauer is spinning in front of him or something like that. So he's trying to build up a comfortable situation, and he's doing a very great job with that. And yeah, I think that moment when they were side by side, that was a little bit too much. Everybody said, okay, I'm a racer, I want to be the winner of the race. But in the end, then the thinking comes back again and said, okay, come on, I want to be the champion in the end. Stay calm, stay relaxed, make it a strategic good move. And that's what Andy Castro is doing right now, I think so.
Yeah, he is. He's just using his head and driving sensibly. Look at the battle that's going on for 7th place at the moment. That is Ulysse Delceau, who is desperate to try and catch up with the two cars ahead of him, which is going to be Bavo Fallon and then the red bonneted car with the black and the white flashes to it in the hands of Alessandro Brigatti, who is also racing for Feedvic Racing, the driver who finished 11th in the Elite 2 standings last year, or EuroNASCAR 2 as it was called. It came out of FIA CIK karting, did Alessandro Brigatti. He's got Bavo Fallon right behind him, who is the engineer, usually on the number 11 car for PK Car Sport, who has had a really good season, Bavo, in the Esports Series. We've seen him in the top 10 in the main races on a couple of occasions. He's had an 8th, he's had a 9th, he's gone really well in the heats as well on occasions, but it's only the main races that carry the points. He's had an 8th and a 9th as his best result of the season so far. Well, he's in 6th at the moment, so he's going to better that in the final race of the year. On board with Alessandro Brigatti, looking back at Bavo Fallon, the PK Car Sport Chevy sitting behind the Feedvic Racing car in the hands of the Italian. Down the straight and up towards the Jackie X chicane once more. Into the cleaner chicane, I ought to say. Bavo Fallon with a couple of wheels on the grass. Mistake, has to shortcut the chicane and is going to lose out to Ulysse Delceau, who will be able to go through. Bavo Fallon just rejoins ahead of Brian Krause, but Krause has got the momentum. Can he sneak through? No, not quite. So mistake from Bavo Fallon, loses just one place there at the cleaner chicane, and it means that he is now down in 7th place and is still upholding top honours for the cars that start numbered 300, i.e. the EuroNASCAR team members. Simon Palat, who won his heat, sitting there in 4th position, and he's another driver who is on for his best result of the season. 7th place at Indianapolis is his best so far in this one, in what has been a season that's had probably more lows than highs, because he's had sort of a couple of finishes outside of the top 30, another finish at Watkins Glen where he was only just inside the top 30, he was 29th, and it's sort of got better from Zandvoort onwards with that 7th at Indianapolis, and then at Brands Hatch he was 11th overall. We didn't see him at Charlotte on the Roval though, I don't think. Simon Palat couldn't make it before racing a fortnight ago. But he is there behind Alan Day, who is behind this guy here, Andre Castro, who with now 17 minutes to go is nearly halfway through this race, but it's still, I would say, Andre, not fair to say that Andre Castro has one hand on the championship trophy, because we know in motorsport how quickly things can turn around.
Yes, right. When he's doing no mistakes, he will be the champion for sure, because he's so fast and so experienced in sim racing. I told you that 100 times during this season. But I thought about the thing that happened to Santu Centuria. There was smoke out of the car, and I think I have an explanation for that. Maybe he's using a H pattern gear shift at home, and maybe he shifted in the wrong gear, and then has just an engine explosion there up front. And then you see it's very difficult if you have an H pattern gearbox to find the right gear. And if Andre Castro, I don't really know what he's using, having H gear shift 2, something like this can happen very easily, and this can ruin your race very, very soon. I know on iRacing there are some wheels or some equipment stuff you don't have a shifter, so you use the sequential stuff on your wheel. That's not realistic, but you can use it also in the NASCAR cars. But I've seen a lot of rigs by those drivers we have here, and they have professional rigs at home, and I think a lot of them are using H pattern gear shifts here to have it the most realistic way possible in iRacing. So if somebody miss one of those shifts and going from second to first instead of third, your engine will blow for sure.
That could be a very good point made there. That could have been the problem. We can now start to see a little bit of traffic coming into play there. I think that was Gordon Barnes that just ran a little bit wide, and Simon Palat here almost having a go at Alan Day. I thought there was going to be a little bit of contact there for a split second. Alan Day is slow coming out of the cleaner chicane, and that allows Simon Palat to draw himself alongside. Alan Day squeezes as hard as he can, but they go side by side through the next kink that brings them up towards the next of the chicanes, so through the Villeneuve chicane, and Simon Palat has got the job done. He is through now. Very patiently he's been sitting behind Alan Day, and well, he is through now and up into 3rd position now. It looked close for contact on the way in towards the cleaner chicane. Alan Day was slow coming out, so I'm not sure. On my screen it didn't look like there was contact, but of course from the driver's perspective who are inside the cars, maybe there was. Let's have a quick look. Well, this is Simon Palat side by side up towards the Villeneuve chicane, the outside through the kink, the inside line for Feedvic Racing and his Chevy heading through the Villeneuve chicane. So now the young Belgian, the 18-year-old, is not only on for his best result of the season if he stays where he is, he's on for his first podium of the season as well. And Alan Day is down into 4th place and is just dropping away a little bit now. It looked close, Andre Weigold, but I'm not convinced there was contact, was there?
I think it depends on which server you are right now. If you're at your home and my home, I think there were centimeters between both of them. It was very hard to judge. But in the end, it's NASCAR racing. Rubbing is racing. We know it from Days of Thunder. So even if there was contact, I think this is nothing to worry about in a motorsport series like NASCAR. It's all about rubbing is racing. So
absolutely, it was light contact. Lots of traffic coming up here now. Tobias Downhauer has finally managed to break Andre Castro. The gap is up to a couple of seconds, but of course Tobias Downhauer is the first driver to meet the back markers every time. Now iRacing will give the back markers an indication, blue flag, that quicker cars are coming through, but as we've seen in earlier rounds of this as well, on occasions the back markers don't exactly make it easy for the race leaders to work their way through the traffic, and let's hope that Tobias Downhauer isn't compromised by the lapped cars that he's about to meet. So he's heading up towards the Jackie X chicane. 17 minutes of the race completed, just over 13 to go. He's on lap number 11 currently, and no longer has clear track ahead of him because he's got cars to deal with. And by the look of it, the first of those he's going to meet is going to be the Hockenheim ring car, I think, is it not? Which will be car number 479, Stefan Krasin, who's running in 22nd position. Back to 17th, Chris Ricard for Brax Racing is looking to try and haul in Jakob Krafek, who for Autodrome Most is doing good things at the wheel of his Toyota. And then we go back to Max Palumbo for Solaris Motorsport. Second time this evening he's been in the gravel at turn number 1 at Erst, but this time it looks as though he quits out of the game and returns to the pit lane, unfortunately. So problems for Max Palumbo.
A little
Fight
joke
going on.
him.
Go on,
a little joke on him, sorry. But sorry, Max, I think you should stay with the media stuff instead of racing. This has not been a good evening for you. We know Max very well, the Italian giant who was in the EuroNASCAR media team, who's doing a lot of stuff for Solaris Motorsport. So great guy, very nice guy. But unfortunately, he did not get in the rhythm here today. So I just wanted to make that joke. Sorry, Max.
He's 47th in the championship standings coming into this one, so leave him alone. He scored his first points finish. He was 23rd at Charvel on the Roval last time out, 28 points to his championship tally. He was really pleased with that, but yeah, stick to the media stuff, Max. But it'd be great to see you back next season at the same time. So Alan Muscaron in 15th place. He's got his hands rather full still. The grey Chevy of Chris Ricard is still behind. The two Chevys brake together. You can see the nose of the car dip, but there's nothing doing. The Brax machine still sitting behind Alan Muscaron's car. Of course, he runs for DF1 Racing, the 28-year-old, who is the reigning EuroNASCAR Club Challenge champion for last year. Was former Saudi Kart champion in France back in 2017. He was runner-up in that in 2018 as well. And was also involved in the World Championships as well in Saudi as well, where he was runner-up in that in 2017. So he's from a karting background, switched to EuroNASCAR Club Challenge last year and stitched that sort of championship up, but is running down in 15th position and under pressure as well. We're now looking at Ulysse Delceau, who sits there in 6th place. He has got behind him no longer Bavo. Oh, there is Ulysse Delceau. Yeah, two similar looking cars. I thought he was the first of the two red ones, but he's the second of the two red ones. So it's Brigatti that's ahead. So there's Ulysse Delceau. There's Bavo Fallon, who is not that far behind him. Out front, Tobias Downhour is just stretching the gap all the time. We saw he was going to meet traffic and thought the gap might come down. It's now up to 3.5 seconds that he leads. And Andre Castro equally has a couple of seconds now in hand between himself and Simon Palat. There is Tobias Downhour just heading out of Jochen Rindbocht. You can see in the background, the next of the cars is Andre Castro. So Tobias Downhour at the moment leading the race and on for what would be his first main race win, actually. The main races is amazing, really, that the main race wins have all been spread around, haven't they, Andre? If we include the prologue event that we had at Daytona, then Castro won that one. Then we went to Brands Hatch Indy Circuit. Guillaume de Flandre won that one. We went to Watkins Glen. Michael Smidl won that one. Zandvoort was the next round. Jeffrey Rufen won that one. And then as we went to Indianapolis, Lasse Sorensen won that one. So from the first 5 races, including the prologue, we had 5 different main race winners until Michael Smidl claimed a second win at Brands Hatch on the Grand Prix circuit, and Andre Castro claimed his second win at Charlotte on the Roval. But it would be great, wouldn't it, to finish the season with another different winner, Tobias Downhour.
Yes, and this would show how competitive those guys are in this virtual world. The field is very even in different parts. I think we had something like 10 very, very quick and fast drivers fighting for the championship. Then we had nice midfield battles. I think there were around 15 guys almost on the same pace, and even further down the order we had great battles. So everywhere we saw there was competition, there was nice racing, and having so many different winners shows that we have a lot of capable drivers in this championship, in the real world and in the virtual world. So I'm looking forward to see those guys firing those V8 engines again at Vallelunga in September, when we go back to real world racing with those beautiful V8 monsters here in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. 400 horsepowers, no driving aids, nothing, just pure racing. And that's what it's all about in EuroNASCAR. And also in the virtual world, we saw some pure racing and a nice competition. It's all about who's the best driver on the grid. Nothing with fake stuff like reverse grids or something like this. It's you're the one who's the fastest, then you will win.
Yeah, it's no driver aids. It is, yeah, as we say, pure racing EuroNASCAR. We're looking at Gordon Barnes, who is running way down through the order, trying to pick his way past Max Lancer's damaged car by the look of it. You can see the front end of the Cowell car now looking rather second-hand with the Italian behind the wheel, but Gordon Barnes fairly easily goes through there, who is going to be racing in the Club Challenge in 2020. He's an engineer and IT consultant by trade, has raced some late models and done a bit of Formula V racing in the UK as well in the past, albeit some years ago now, Gordon Barnes, but nice to see him out going reasonably well at the wheel of the Marco Steep Motorsport car, inside the top 20 at least is he at this stage, but the damaged car of Max Lancer is not going to give it up. Here we go. Right, so for 5th place, Alessandro Brigato under pressure from the second of the two red and black cars, which is Ulysse Delceau. Bavo Follon is not far away. Brian Crowles is right in there as well. So this is the fight for 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th places all together. 7 or 6.5 minutes really now to go, whilst out front Tobias Downhauer leads the race, and in second place Andre Castro is on course to potentially become our inaugural EuroNASCAR Esports champion in conjunction with iRacing, with support from i-cin.com and SimRacingLeague.it. So Ulysse Delceau, nice and neat and tidy through the Jackie X chicane, the final corner, accelerating his way onto the start-finish line. And as Ulysse heads over the start-finish line here at Zolder in Belgium, Ulysse Delceau, even in his championship year, did not claim one of the races here in 2018 because Guillaume Dumoulin, a Belgian driver, won at his home circuit, and Florian Venturi won the second of the two races. So even in his championship year, there was not a race victory. I'm surprised at that, actually, from Ulysse Delceau, because he was pretty dominant in his championship year. He's under pressure. He's still under pressure himself, though. He's pushing hard to try and gain a place, but conscious that he doesn't want to lose a place to Bavo Follon that sits behind. And that's the difficult thing here, Andre. It's not the easiest circuit to overtake. You push hard to try and overtake somebody, you dip a wheel in the gravel or on the grass, and all of a sudden you're losing places.
Yes, it's a traditional track where every mistake will lead to a little bit lost time. It's not like those tracks with a lot of those asphalt pieces everywhere. It's grass, it's gravel. When you leave the track will penalize you in some way. So mistakes are not allowed here at Circuit Zolder. It's a very special track because it's so traditional held. It's nothing like those modern tracks where you can go wide and nothing happens because there's asphalt everywhere. I don't like that new kind of racing tracks. I like those traditional tracks much more. And yeah, I know everybody says it's hard to overtake on that track. I think drivers and teams say that about every track in the world. I've never seen a driver telling, oh yeah, I really like this place, it's easy to overtake here. I've never heard any driver saying that. So, but yeah, you're right. Circuit Zolder has something of a special flow. There are not that hard braking areas with those typically 90 degrees corners where you can ever overtake somebody on the brakes or something like that. So you have to prepare moves one corner to the another corner and then get the momentum right. So yeah, I definitely agree. Circuit Zolder is a special track and where you can say it's not easy to overtake, but definitely not impossible.
No, it's a great circuit. Yeah, you're talking about racing drivers complaining. They don't need, they've got their racing driver book of excuses, and they don't need excuses to complain as well, do they? You know, it's always a case of the car hasn't got enough power, it's difficult to overtake, or yeah, there's always an excuse. We're just looking at Yevgeny Sokolovsky. What happened to the number 46 car? There we go, big spin going through Lucien Bianchibot by the look of things, and eventually gets the 46 pointing in the right direction, but that would have dropped him down through the order. Just having a quick look at who has gained more places than anybody at this stage, because that carries an extra 8 points as it's the championship finals. Well, it was going the way, those extra 8 championship points for the most places gained starting position to finishing position, the way of Stefano Gustavalla, but all of a sudden he's dropped down through the order, has had a problem somewhere, and now the person who's gained most places is 22 places gained for almost off the back of the grid, now up to sort of 11th or 12th position, and that is Chris Rickard, I think, at this stage. He's showing down in 16th on one screen I've got, but he's showing up in 10th on the other, so we'll await confirmation of that. But either way, it's been a good drive where he's picked people off. Looking at Max Lancer again, who was overtaken the lap prior by Andre Castro. Simon Palat in third place was also able to squeeze his way through, but he's the next of the backmarker cars that our double former EuroNASCAR Pro champion Alan Day is going to meet at the wheel of the Monster Energy PK Car Sport Chevy, the 24 car. Lancer bounces over the curbs with the damage to the front of his car, but Alan Day will probably have to wait until after the Villeneuve chicane, I would have thought, to get through. He's going to have a go on the way into the Villeneuve chicane, is he? Is he too far back? No, Max Lancer sees him coming. Alan Day gets a little bit sideways. Lancer then has to take to the gravel just to make sure he stays out of harm's way, but another back marker ticked off for Alan Day, and all of the time he's just losing ground to Simon Palat, who was able to squeeze his way through some laps ago now, under braking in towards the cleaner chicane. Ulysse Delso in 6th position, still looking to put car number 108 under pressure, which is Alessandro Brigatti, but still conscious that Bavo Follon is not that far behind. Brian Crowles in the orange Brax Racing Ford is just off him as well, so still reasonably close, certainly for 5th and 6th, but 7th and 8th just maybe dropping away a little bit more as we now head towards the final minute and a half of the race. Well, at the beginning of the evening, Andre Weigold, who still continues to join me in commentary, we picked out, and both of us suggested, Andre Castro was going to be a tough man to beat. Well, looks as though Tobias Dauenhauer is going to beat him on the track in the final main race, but I think sensible driving from Andre Castro with a lap to go is probably going to see him crowned the first ever esports champion, isn't it?
Yeah, I think, and well deserved. Andre Castro did a tremendous job here in this series. Also, Tobias Dauenhauer, I think he will end up in 2nd place in the overall standings and carry 35 points in the real world team championship. Not a bad spot to start a real racing series in the team championship, so everything's fine on Tobias Dauenhauer's side. I think he will have a half smiling face and half sad face tonight because he did a good job at front. And one thing I want to say in the last 20 seconds when you talked about this fight between Follon and Crowles, when I sum up all the stuff that happened in the YouTube chat during the races, I think when we have to crown a most popular driver, I think Brian Crowles will win this title, because I've never seen so many people cheering for one driver in the EuroNASCAR world than here in the EuroNASCAR Esports Series for Brian Crowles.
Final call, here comes Tobias Dauenhauer. He's going to head over the start-finish line and claim the final win of the year in the main race of the inaugural EuroNASCAR Esports Series. He claims the win, but Andre Castro finishes 2nd, and subject to official confirmation, that is enough to give him the championship crown in the EuroNASCAR Esports Series in conjunction with iRacing, with support from i-cin.com and SimRacingLeague.it. So Tobias Dauenhauer will be as pleased as punch with his first main race win of the season, but Andre Castro, I'm sure, is going to celebrate in the traditional way in NASCAR somewhere around this lap, and he will be a very, very happy American. Simon Palat comes through and finishes in 3rd place, his best result of the season. Alan Day finishes in 4th position. So if I've got the maths right, Andre Castro, 343 points, he will be the champion, with finishing in 2nd place on 328 points will be Tobias Dauenhauer. 3rd place will go the way of Alan Day, who will finish on 288 points. Brian Crowles, I think, will be 4th in the championship, actually, on 276, because where did Loris Hasemans finish? 34th in the end. No, Loris Hasemans finishing in 34th position will drop down. So Brian Crowles will finish in 4th place. Loris Hasemans, I think, ultimately ends up in 5th or possibly 6th, subject to where Ulysse Delso will line up. He finished 6th. That will put him on 265. So Loris Hasemans just hangs on to what would be 5th position in the end. And Ulysse Delso, despite finishing in 6th place, will finish just behind Hasemans in terms of the championship. So I think that's the way it will work its way through. So we are going to wait some of our drivers to join us. We'll just get some confirmation of the results, and then we're going to look back at some highlights of the real racing at Zolder. So confirmation of the results. Tobias Dauenhauer claims the win, but Andre Castro in second place claims the championship. Simon Palat finishes in third position, ahead of Alan Day in fourth place, and Andre Castro now celebrating on the start-finish line. Alessandro Brigatti finishes in fifth place. Ulysse Delso in sixth, ahead of Babo Fallenbrand, Krause, Davide Delara, and Chris Lehman finished in 10th place. Well done, Chris. Fred Gabillon was 11th, ahead of Henry Tuamala, Stefano Gustavalle, Hendricks, Muscaron, Ricard, Jeffs, and Nave Talor complete the top 18 as the donuts take place on the start-finish line. Max Lancer was sorry, where do we got to? We got to Gordon Barnes was 19th, Max Lancer was 20th, and you can see everybody from 20th down towards 28th. So let's enjoy some of the donuts that you can see taking place on the start finish line. And whilst the drivers celebrate, let's look back at some of the highlights of the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series when we visited Zolder in 2019. So there we go. Some of the action from the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series when we visited a very, very wet Zolder, as it was at the time in 2019. The drivers are starting to drop into our virtual commentary box for the final time of the season, which is quite a sad thing to say. But let's catch up with, first of all, our top three in the race, and then we'll catch up with the top three in the championship once we've done the full math. So quick word with Tobias Dauenhauer, who joins us in live commentary. Tobias, well done. A fantastic evening for you. Your first race victory of the season in a main race, and pushing hard, but wasn't to be in terms of the championship. I think you'll finish as the runner-up, but well done.
Yeah, thank you. It was an amazing race for me. I tried to reach a win in the EuroNASCAR Championship Esports Championship. So now this happened in the main race, so I'm very happy. And yeah, the best I can do in this race for our team, Hendricks Motorsport. It's been
a an unusual start to the year. I think what you and your fellow drivers and competitors have done, and the teams, is really grasp this EuroNASCAR Esports Series. We're going to go racing for real soon, but it's been a nice way to keep the family together, and from a driver's perspective, nice way to sort of keep your skills where they need to be.
It's perfect for the drivers, also for the sponsors. I have to say many thanks to the organization for the ENES, so to Gianluca, Jerome, and all who organized this. So it was an amazing series and a good show for the fans and the sponsors as well.
Well, very well done indeed, Tobias. And I think if I've got the maths correct, Andre Castro was on 343 points. You were on 328, so subject to official confirmation, runner-up in the championship. That's not bad, is it?
Was, as I said, I'm a beginner in iRacing, so that's a very good result for my first iRacing ENES season. So yeah, perfect.
Well done to you. We will grab the driver that finished in third position next, Simon Palat, who grabs his best result of the season, his first podium of the season in a main race as well. Well, he was there. He's just as I say, he's just this second disappeared, unfortunately. I was going to grab a word with Simon Palat, but he has gone. So instead, we will jump to Alan Day, who joins us in live commentary. You finished fourth in that race, Alan, but I think that fourth position in that race was sufficient for you to be third overall in the championship standings. Well done.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Considering the fact that I lost one round in Zandvoort and still finishing third, I think I'm pretty happy with that. Congratulations to Under and Tobias. They did an amazing race, an amazing season, and I think it has been a really good season so far.
There was a point in that race where, from our perspective, and I know it's different depending on what server that you're using with iRacing, but Simon Palat looked to get really close to you going into the cleaner chicane. It didn't look from our perspective as though it was contact, but it was after that where he managed to get past you. Was there contact from your perspective?
I got like the message of a contact, but I think it was pretty clean. Simon did also a good race. I'm pretty happy with the fact that it was really clean. The guy was extremely quick. I'm happy for him for that also. It was a good one, but I thought about the championship more than actually about the results here in Zandvoort. So I thought about the championship, and I wanted to finish in a good position eventually.
You're a two times EuroNASCAR Pro champion. I bet you can't wait to get back behind the wheel for what will be a new team for you when we get racing for real at Vallelunga in about 8 weeks' time. You're racing for PK Car Sport.
Yeah, and I think this is the opportunity to say that I was just behind Under Castro in the race, and I thought about bumping him and bringing my revenge back. But then I realized that maybe all of us, all of the non-European drivers, may not even enter Europe, and there is some kind of issues right now with the situation in the world. So this is the opportunity to say that I wish everybody that are not European that hopefully they can make it into Europe, and I hope to see everybody in Vallelunga. I can't wait to go back racing. I can't wait to start my season with my new team, with the PK Car Sports and my new sponsor with the Monster Energy. And yeah, I'm looking forward. I just hope we can make it.
Well, we hope to see you there, and well done, Alan, as you say, particularly as you missed the Zandvoort round as well. Well done. Congratulations on third in the championship, fourth in the final race.
Thank you very much.
So we will very quickly grab a word with Brian Krause as well, who joins us in commentary. Brian, I don't think we've spoken to you all year. You've had a couple of top 6 finishes previously. You were 8th here, but I think that 8th position was sufficient for you to finish 4th overall in the championship. And of course, you're the guy that does all of the hard work, giving a base setup that all of the drivers use. So well done.
Thank you. I was really worried about the points during the whole race because Delso was right behind me. I was trying to keep up with him, trying to calculate as best as I could in my head where I would end up. So I hope it was enough. So that would be amazing.
I've got you on 276 points, which is 4th in the championship. And I think Delso was actually 12 points behind you in the end, and a couple of places adrift in 6th place. So subject to official confirmation, you must be really pleased with that as well, because of course you're sort of a team member, but has been heavily involved in sort of iRacing and in particular the setup of the cars, that standard setup that everybody receives.
Yeah, I'm really happy with it. I want to say thank you to Jerry for letting me do this, first of all. And as he put me in here, I didn't know what would happen because I've never really done anything of this caliber. So I just went for it and tried to be consistent to see where I would go, but I never expected to be in the top 5.
and I don't wish to put you on the spot, but Brax Racing, will they be out in the 2020 season? If it's something you'd rather not say, but it's a question I need to ask.
I think that'll be confirmation to the team owner.
Okay, that's fine. I totally understand, Bram. Well, we hope to see them out because they've been a great team to have around EuroNASCAR. But yeah, we'll await confirmation from Jerry DeVert, the team owner. But well done on your season. Thank you very much for joining us in commentary.
Thank you.
And now we'll go back to Simon Palat, who is now back with us in live commentary. I'm going to hang on to our champion for the last interview of the season because that seems the appropriate way to do it. Simon Palat now joins me in live commentary. Simon, congratulations, your best result of the season, your first podium of the season.
Yes, thank you. It was a pretty tough race. I messed up the start, but then I tried to hold on to Alan and Andre, which was pretty tough. Then I got an opportunity to pass Alan, and then it was just fighting to keep the time good with all the late runners. So it was a pretty tough race.
You were so patient, just waiting behind Alan Day for that opportunity. You were there in fourth place, and it was coming into the cleaner chicane, wasn't it? Where I think you braked really late. There was almost contact, and you then, as Alan suggested, cleanly got through around the outside. You must have been so pleased, because once you were in third, you pulled away.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the clean races, so it was really not my intention to hit Alan in any ways. But then I just try to keep clean and make no mistakes, because for example, in the heat too, in the last lap, it was pretty tough because I made a big mistake. And so Alan was right behind me right after, so it was pretty tough.
Looking to the 2020 NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, when we started at Vallelunga, you're one of the young drivers that we've got in the series. You came through that sort of semi-finalist of Feedvic Racing's selection process. You must be really looking forward to joining your what is a new team, Feedvic Racing, in the 2020 season, seeing how you get on in EuroNASCAR too.
Yeah, it's really I'm starting to get impatient. I mean, it's really a shame the season starts so late, but I mean, it's great that EuroNASCAR managed to hold almost every race besides one or two. So I'm really glad that I will participate to the EuroNASCAR 2 this year.
Well, we look forward to seeing you out at Vallelunga. Well done on the podium, and thanks for being part of this inaugural EuroNASCAR Esports Series. Simon Palat.
Thank you.
There we go, and then we'll grab our champion for an interview. Andre Castro joins us in the commentary box. Andre, you'll have been doing the maths more than anybody as the race was unfolding. You'll have known that as long as you finished in the top three, it didn't matter what anybody else did. You would claim the championship. You're the esports champion. Well done.
Yeah, thanks. The math was going on in my head the entire time, especially the last 2 weeks. I've been thinking about it quite a lot, and early on, I figured out, if I wasn't on the podium, then it didn't matter what anyone else did. I wanted the pole either way. I tried really hard to get pole, just to get out of the midfield and get out of the mess. But I couldn't do it, so I started third, and after that, just got a decent start and held on to it from there. So super cool to be a champion. First guy to win a EuroNASCAR championship in his pajamas, so I think that's pretty cool. And wearing pajama bottoms right now, I'm not going to show you, but so many people to thank, really. Norbert Walkhofer and Gudrun Stroell for all their faith in me and for signing me up for this year, for real life. Can't wait to get started with them, and they always support me after every single race, and they watch every race, and their passion is just unbelievable. So so proud to be representing this team. The sponsor, Great Bus, and just got to thank everybody else that put on the series as well. Gianluca Guiglia for everything he does for the series. Love that guy. And Jerome, thanks for putting this on in the first place and letting us have our fix for competition in these months where we haven't been able to race in real life. And then Mark, the GOAT commentator. Thanks so much. I love your passion even in these races in the virtual world. So, and then lastly, thanks to my family and friends for cheering me on every race. And thanks to all the competitors for putting on a good show.
And of course, what you will get is 40 points towards the team's championship in the EuroNASCAR Whelen Euro Series when we get it underway. And also, TJ will give you that fabulous Titanium Champions ring at some point. Yeah,
I'm excited about that. I realized that I think after the Roval race was when I realized the champion gets a ring. So I was like, oh, okay, it's more motivation to go and win. So I'm really happy to be getting that, and to win a championship at a high level like this is always cool because we're all competitive. So I'm excited to see what the rest of the year brings, and had a lot of fun during these races. So obviously thanks to Whelen putting on the series, and looking forward to what comes next.
how much, a couple of final questions. How much momentum do you think, this is only a virtual championship, but how much momentum as a driver is that going to give you to carry into the real season when we get going?
I mean, I think it just taught me kind of how to fight for a championship in a sense. Just doing what you need to do to, certain times when maybe it doesn't go your way, you got to limit the damage.
As you did at Watkins Glen, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And every race you do, you got to have that mindset of being calm. And if things don't go your way, you kind of just have to keep pressing on. Even if you don't have the pace for one race, it's not the end of the world. So I've never actually done a full season of any car racing in real life. So it's important to get this experience underway. Like a certain amount of rounds, certain amount of points, and the point structure, and what you have to do. And then like a day like today was important because I had to make sure that I stayed under control, and I watched myself, and I had a cautious race. So I think in real life, more than anything, it's great for the team's championship, and I'm glad we're leading that currently. But yeah, more than anything, just the experience of trying to be consistent and making the best out of bad situations. I think it'll help a lot.
Well, congratulations. I think a deserved champion. There was only once that you finished outside of the top 6, and there, as you said, you limited the damage. You won more races, whether it be heats or main races, than anybody else. So a deserved champion. Congratulations to Andre Castro, our 2020 EuroNASCAR Esports champion, in conjunction with iRacing, with support from i-cin.com and SimRacing League. Well done, Andre.
Thanks, Mark.
There we go. So that is Andre Castro, our final driver that we'll be chatting to as part of this fantastic inaugural season to the EuroNASCAR Esports Series. Andre Castro's gone, but Andre Weigold still joins me in commentary. Andre, we've sort of travelled our way virtually around the world, you could argue, with races at Daytona, at Brands Hatch, Watkins Glen, Zandvoort, Indianapolis, back to Brands on the Grand Prix circuit, the Roval at Charlotte, and then we finished everything off here at Circuit Zolder. A strange start to the year, but I think what a fantastic start to the year that, as all of the drivers were suggesting, a wonderful team of people have come together to put this championship together, and the support that we've had, not just from drivers, but from team members and from our partners as well, both the circuits that are our partners and our key partners as well, Whelen and General Tyre and Kennel and TJ as well. So many people to thank. It's been a great start to the year for what's been a difficult start to the year at the same time, Andre.
Yes, it was a great journey. And I want to thank everybody who joined us every Tuesday evening here in the chat, in the live streams. They were so active. Everybody was cheering for their drivers. And that gave me the confirmation that EuroNASCAR has a big family. I really felt that they appreciated what we put on effort in this series to give you guys out there some racing in those challenging times. And thank you so much for joining us every Tuesday night here in the EuroNASCAR Esports Series. I hope you enjoyed this virtual adventure of the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, and we'll be back with real racing in September at Vallelunga with the season opener. So this was the first step in this very strange year 2020. Now the next step is getting back a little bit to normal racing, to real life racing, and I hope you will be part of this too. Please join us when we go back in the real world at Vallelunga, at Zolder, at Most, at Hockenheim, and of course at Valencia. I hope we will see some familiar names in the chats during the live streams and stuff like that. So thank you. Really appreciate that you all joined us here in this virtual adventure in the first ever EuroNASCAR Esports Series. And thank you, Mark, for having me every Tuesday evening when I was available. I was thrown into the commentary here with you, and I really enjoyed it to make such good nights with you here in the commentary booth. I know I'm not a native English speaker. I'm from Germany, so it was not that easy for me every time, but I think we had a lot of fun. And yeah, again, thank you to everybody, all the partners, all the team officials, all the drivers teams, and of course the fans out there.
Thanks, Andre. Yeah, absolute pleasure to have you in the commentary box. And now you, for considering that your German and English is a second language for you, a wonderful job as ever. So that's about it for us. As Andre said, we can't thank people enough. I again want to thank Jerome Galpin and Jean-Luc Aguillet for in a week and a half putting this championship together back in April to give us something to do and to keep that engagement that we've got with all of you fans out there that have been watching this and enjoying it. I want to thank Stefano, our director in the background, who has pressed all of the right buttons and largely in the right order as well over the course of the last few weeks as well. He's been a star to deal with. Again, I forgot to throw to one of the VTs. It's something traditional I'm going to do, I think, from now on. But yeah, that's it for the EuroNASCAR Esports Series. Thanks to iRacing. We couldn't have done it without the support of iRacing, i-cin.com, the Sim Racing League. We couldn't have done it without TJ. There's so many people to thank. And when we get the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series going for real, the support of General Tyre and Kennel and McDonald's and all of those is absolutely vital to us. But that's it. We've crowned our champion. Tobias Downhow was the last winner of the season, but Andre Castro is the inaugural EuroNASCAR Esports champion. Log on to EuroNASCAR.com. That gives you all of the details of the season for real when we get racing at Vallelunga on the 11th, 12th and 13th of September. We will be there. Then we'll head to Zolder in Belgium, where we've been this evening in early October. Hockenheim in the middle part of October. A month later, we go to Most in the Czech Republic. And it's early December now on the rescheduled calendar, where we head to Circuit Ricardo Tormo and Valencia. But from all of the team at EuroNASCAR and myself, Mark Werrell, and Andre Weigold, who joined me in commentary, that's all from EuroNASCAR Esports. We will see you at Vallelunga in about 8 weeks' time. Until then, goodbye.